What if you could spend a full week in one of the top Inc. 500's fastest growing wellness businesses here in the United States? 3 locations, 3 awesome teams, and 2 great owners. That's going to be Ultra Cryo in Florida. We're actually about to head there right now. We're going to spend a week going behind the scenes, doing some secret shopping, doing some consulting, doing a workshop, but most importantly, we're going to be uncovering what is it that makes them work, right? Yes, we'll figure out the things that are going to push them forward to the next level, but we are going to see exactly how did they get here so far, and that's what I want to show you. I don't just want to show you the stuff that we're doing of how we're going to help them. I want to show you the stuff that they've done to get to where they are right now with 3 locations, multiple 7 figures, and on the Inc.'s 500 fastest growing companies list. I think you're going to get a lot of value from this. We're about to head out to the airport, and so excited to bring you along with me. We have arrived Dallas Airport. This is no fancy, jet traveling. We don't have it like that just yet, but future goals. So we've arrived, we're about to hop on a plane. What I'm kind of thinking through on this plane as we're going is I'm thinking of 2 main goals that I have with this trip. Is the first goal is going to be what lever can we pull in Ultra Cryo that's going to take them to the next step? And so for them to do that, they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of staff. So I'm thinking in my head of like, what is that one lever? What is the one thing where if they focused on over the next 90 days can push them towards that goal? And so I'm excited for you to be able to kind of see that thought process and see what we ended up doing while we're there. But then the second thing I'm thinking of is going to be for you. How can I make this content in a way to where you're going to be able to actually tactically take some of the things that you're going to be able to learn from this trip, but most importantly, for you to understand what you need to do next to grow your business. So have that lens on, we'll have that together. Let's think about it and let's make it happen. We have arrived. We are here. We are at the Airbnb. We're actually about to head out to dinner to meet up with the owners of Ultra Cryo. We have Paul and Terry Huden. You will be meeting them soon. But as promised, I wanted to walk you through exactly what we're going to be covering this week, the ins and outs of it, the key results that we're looking for, so that way you can take this, everything you're going to learn in this video, and take it and apply it to your wellness business. So when I go on these on-sites, the biggest thing I'm looking for is where's the biggest lever? Something that we can do tactically within the business that's going to propel it forward and take the least amount of attention possible and the least amount of change, because every single action item you put in your business requires you to go and teach that to your team, paint the vision there, put in the steps, and it's going to be complex. And so if you have too many action items for what you're going to do to grow your business, that's where we lose focus and that's where we have a struggle. In the next 3 days, we're going to be walking through a few different things with Ultra. For day 1, we do a clear breakdown of all of operations. And so you'll learn what that means. We'll give you some sneak peeks in there. But when I'm looking at operations, I'm looking through the foundations, because what I find is most of the time we have those things written on paper somewhere, but most of the times our team is not clear on that and the owners aren't clear on it either. And it makes it hard to figure out what do we need to do next. So tomorrow is all about identifying that lever, right? What is going to be the lever? What are the few things that they can focus on the next 90 days to move Ultra towards their goal of opening up 3 to 4 more locations in the next 2 years? From that, we move into what we call our team workshop day. This is actually where myself and my team, we go into the location. We do an all hands meeting with all of the staff. The purpose of the all hands meeting is to put a clear focus on what is client acquisition, what does the sales system need to look like, and also just how do we teach the team and develop them when it comes to doing higher ticket sales in a wellness business. And then from there, we're actually going to branch off and do something a little bit more unique with Ultra Cryo. We're going to take their leadership team and we're actually going to do a leadership development meeting. In this meeting, there's really 2 key results that I'm looking to find out. Do they have a clear understanding of what management and leadership actually is? And how do they create transformational leadership with what they have in the team that they currently have on staff? The second thing we look at is how do we build a great company? A great company is going to be based off of its operations. And if that's not clear, if you don't have leaders in your wellness business that can operate, right, and get other people to operate at high levels, that's where goals start to fall short. That's where deadlines get missed. And that's where we don't hit our key results. So we're going to wrap all that up and we're going to shoot a podcast on day 3. And the podcast is for you. Podcast is going to be where we break down everything. How did Ultra Cryo get to where they're at right now? Where are they moving forward? What were those levers that we worked on and found that they're going to do to push the business forward as well? So that way you have that information and you can take that and apply that to your business. So it's time to go eat. I'll see you on the next one. We are back from dinner, and a little lesson that I think is really important is that there's this trap that I call the 7-figure trap. And so it's when we start hitting 7 figures, we've been told over and over and over again, like that's the milestone. When we get there, it's the end all be all. You have finally made it. But when your business hits 7 figures, you realize how low of a number 7 figures actually is. Because we start to fall into this trap, and this problem that happens is that we have just enough resources to keep moving forward, but we don't have enough resources to get the right type of A players on the team, the right type of leadership team in place to be able to pull yourself out of the business to truly work on the business as a CEO. And it's just a conversation that we kind of got into and looking at Ultra, what they need to go from 3 locations to the goal of 10xing that to 30 locations. It's a leadership problem. It's an operations problem. And so you start to realize that once you start hitting those numbers, now it's truly about operations. I'm excited for tomorrow's consulting day, because we're going to really break down something I call the operations playbook of how can we revamp an operation system, get key leaders in the right places, have people actually being held accountable, but most importantly, having people that will push your strategy forward. And so you guys will get some value from that. I'll make a video that would be just a video on operations as well for you, but it's not always about sales. Sales is not going to allow you to scale to the long-term vision, but we also need operations. It is officially day 1. Last night we had dinner with the Hudens with Ultra, and today we are heading for their operations workshop. So this is our consulting day with just the owners. When I'm going to these days, one of the biggest things I'm looking for, why I like doing dinner the night before, to have that conversation, understand kind of what they're struggling with, where their frustrations are, what's going well, what's not going well. I'm looking for what I call the few hard truths. And for us as business owners, because we're so in it, we're in the weeds, we're in the day-to-day, we can usually be blind to like, what are the biggest truths that we need to know about our business and ourselves that can allow us to move forward. And so, thinking a lot after dinner, thinking this morning, we've kind of identified what are those hard truths, and a lot of it is clarity in vision and clarity in roles. And so today's operations workshop is going to be really trying to dive in, uncover those truths, and also use data to back it up. Financial metrics, numbers, we'll be covering vision, core values, targets, all of those things there. But the most important thing that I think we're going to get from this workshop with them is what I like to call accountability chart. If you've read the book Traction, it's from that as well. We have a little bit of a spin on it. What boils down to is that if the business is cranking at its fullest potential, what are all of those key positions that are needed for it to happen? What are the responsibilities? And then who needs to own it that we currently have here, or who are we missing that we currently need to get? This gives clarity on where we can take that vision, we can take key focuses that we're operating off of, what's the next 90-day blitz, and then we can back into that and figure out from a staffing standpoint, who do we need and what do they need to be responsible for? I'm excited for it. It's gonna be a pretty packed 4 hours, and we're gonna see how much we can get through. We are at the Armadale location here at Ultra Cryo. We're about to kick off day 1, which is going to be the consulting day. So going to walk through a tour of the facility, have them literally show you how they do their consult process, because when I tell you that these guys are great at closing, they are great at closing. Over 100K in new business per month per location, and they're gonna walk you through their entire closing process and how they do it, but then we're gonna dive deep into what can move the needle forward for them in our 4-hour consulting session. Let's get after it. Expert frame is like what we want in a sales conversation. We talk kind of like B2B sales, and you've been in that before. It's like that expert frame matters. And so one of the things that I love tweaking about a consult process, especially if we have a full-time front desk person, is exactly what happened when you talk about they stand up, they get that form, perfect. Then
so we're gonna go based on the fact that you're in here for slimming and weight loss.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna take you on just a quick tour, show you a little bit about the things that we offer here, and I'm gonna take you through a 3D scan so that we know exactly where we're started and I can best help you. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, let's go.
So this is why they're selling 60K plus per week in new business.
So we're gonna get started on the 3D body image first.
And so you guys just added this part in pretty recently, right?
Yep.
Have we gone and walked through it yet?
Yeah, they sold both of the clients that they did that on. Yeah. All right, let's go in the room and let's check out those numbers and see where we're going and what I can do to best help you.
So this is where we do consults.
Right. I'm going to reintroduce myself. I'm Terry. I'm going to take you through this journey. So tell me a little bit more about exactly what brings you in today.
Yeah, I've been struggling with a little bit of weight, got a wedding coming up. We're gonna pause here real quick. So the 3D scans, right? So we're going through all this before we done this results back. Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm digging a little deeper.
Yep.
That way, as I'm digging, and then all of a sudden I get the big red flag, you're at risk.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is powerful, and also what it does is it helps overcome the time component.
It can take 20 to 30 minutes to come in.
That's one reason I love this. Second reason I love it is because it's so much more powerful for what we just talked about here to then get backed by something evidence.
Sure.
Because
It's your real numbers.
Yeah.
From here, we're going to do the actual physical check. Honestly, I don't see anything super drastic, but I see where we can make some major improvements here for you to feel better, okay? So we have a little bit, I know we have a little bit of the love handle thing going on. That just kind of comes with age. So we can do both processes in the same day so that you're here for one appointment at a time instead of having to come back do multiples. How does that sound?
That sounds good
Okay.
to me.
Within an hour and 10 minutes, you're in and out the door every other week. Okay. So what that looks like price-wise is going to be $54.99. We do cherry financing. I'm going to send you a link. So if you'll give me your phone number, I'm going to send that to you. How does that sound?
That sounds good. So then we go straight from that segment there. We get the initial close, we call it trial close, right? She didn't go straight to payment first. First thing she did is, how does that sound to me about what she just prescribed? I love the touch of we're going to examine and actually examine what you need. One, because you can't sell with conviction unless you know what you're selling is actually going to get a result for the person. And that's the number one thing that's important with sales is we need conviction. And you can't get conviction if you don't actually do some type of body analysis, if you don't look at what they're struggling with. This is what we would call a diagnostic sales process.
So a lot of times we do the consult, we do the sale, and we set up the first actual visit for 24 hours.
Makes sense.
So that way we can do more consults in a day.
This is our post-consult process, right? This is the sell after the sell. Because what you really want is you want to reinforce the sell. And then now let's just say we go through it for some weird reason, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to come back tomorrow, or like, hey, I'll follow up with me. What do we do after that person?
So I'm going to schedule an appointment on my calendar
Before I leave?
before you leave.
Okay, so
Yes.
we call that BAM fam. Book a meeting from a meeting. So that's like your number one follow-up process to make follow-up easy is that you always book the next meeting. What it does is it creates a little bit more of a commitment. And so now you have a reason for why you're reaching back out versus if you don't do that, then you reach out with a cheesy sales response of, hey, I'm just following up. Absolutely love it. And this is why you guys are rock stars when it comes to that. So we talked about making sure that we have value immediately after they say yes.
Yeah, so we have a slimming bag. So if they buy a slimming package, they get this lovely bag. Inside of it, we have a logo cup. We also do a cellulite cream. We put a step tracker in there. We have a collagen mask. We send them with a facial moisturizer. We also have 3 samples of Skin Aid. And then we do have a menu plan.
And then you mentioned, obviously, I know it's not going to be in here, but you guys send them home with a checklist in a sense.
Yes.
So this is what you got.
Just kind of helps keep them on track so that they don't come back 2 or 3 weeks later and say, I don't even know what I bought.
And this is what we call a post-consult process. It is 8 p.m. We are back at the Airbnb. Day number 1, consulting day, was definitely a success. As I mentioned, my biggest focus going into it is what's the biggest lever we can pull and how can we give the owners clarity on what they need to do to move forward. And we accomplished that. And so what we're doing here now is I'm actually building out what I call a resource and action item doc. And so on this doc, we're kind of recapping, giving key resources they need, but most importantly, they have a clear action item list of what do they need to do to push the business forward. For you, I'm gonna kind of share a couple of those things with you that they're focusing on. The first part that was really big is getting clarity around the roles of the CEO, the husband, Paul, the COO, the wife, Terry, getting clarity on exactly what are their roles, how are they supposed to show up for their team, what are they each responsible for, because we're having a little bit of a mix there. And so if you're in business with your spouse or you have a COO and you kind of feel like there's a little bit of a lack of clarity, the best thing you can do is sit down, have someone that can come in and give an objective eye and help you figure out what is your 1%, your area of strength that you should be focused on in the business, and then what should your partner be focused on. And it's gonna be different. There is no set standard on this is what a CEO does, right? Find 10 great companies and I guarantee you'll find 10 CEOs that operate a little bit differently, which is why it's so important to figure out what's gonna work best for you and your COO. The next thing that we had from there was we built out the accountability chart. And the accountability chart is a way that we can get clear on exactly when the business is thriving, who are going to be the key positions and key people needed for it to thrive. And then do each of them have clear roles, responsibilities, results, requirements? Do they have clear playbooks? And so we mapped out that. But my favorite thing from a clarity standpoint that we covered is breaking down from their vision to their next 5 to 10 year big target. What's that specific thing that we can track? We reverse engineered that into a year game plan on what do we need to focus on the next year to move towards that direction. And then most importantly, we're able to nail it down to over the next 90 days, what are the objectives that they have to accomplish to be able to push forward to where if they just keep doing that every 90 days, 5 to 10 years from now, they've hit that big target. So day 1, they brought clarity, and in my book, that makes it a success. So we're gonna finish this out, get this sent off to them, and then prep for day 2 tomorrow. It is day 2. We just got done shooting a podcast with Paul and Terry. I cannot wait for you to see it. You know, when the videographer is crying at the end of the podcast, it was a good one. We are actually now headed out. We're going to their Davenport location. We're gonna check it out, just get eyes on it, understand kind of what's happening there, meet some of the staff. Today is just more so podcast, looking at the locations, and then we're prepping for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the big day. It's the final day, day 3. This is a day where we're gonna be meeting. We have 2 types of presentations that we're doing. We're doing a presentation for the entire staff. So we're talking all 30 individuals in one place, which is gonna be fun. And then after that, we have a workshop that we're doing with their leadership team to help them roll out and execute the things that we talked about in day 1's consulting day. Super pumped for it. Cannot wait for you guys to see the podcast. Be on the lookout for it. We'll drop it here soon. And yeah, let's go check out Davenport. Will be the second location that we'll see here. Gonna just do a walkthrough here, nothing too crazy. Really want to see how the location is set up. One thing that I'm always interested in when I'm seeing multiple locations is I'm looking at what's the difference between each location, utilization of space being used, staffing at each location. Are we having to move staff from one location to the other? And Ultra's really in a cool position is unlike a lot of other people that I see where they open up locations close to each other, usually those locations have to feed off of each other. So what I mean by that is you open up location number 2 and location number 1 is essentially staffing, feeding, and paying for location number 2. And it can work at first, but it's going to break long-term where you're trying to, like Ultra Cryo, scale to 30 plus locations. They've done a really good job of how they've opened up each location, staffed it, and made it to where that's not the case. But we're just gonna do a quick walkthrough and see what's up.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
What are you in for today?
I think I have a consult going on. Yeah.
I'm gonna have you sit down and fill up some forms,
Perfect.
and then we can go from there, okay?
Okay, sweet. Little nightcap, halo top, some cookie dough. Good way to end the night. What I want to really walk you through is not what my diet consists of right now or does not consist of, but we are prepped and ready to go for day 3. And so on day 3, what we're gonna be walking through is we have 2 workshops that we're doing with Ultra Cryo's team tomorrow. Their team is made up of about 30 people. I said that right, 30. So we got 3 locations all coming together tomorrow for a workshop, and that is how we're going to close out this trip, and I am pumped for it. There's gonna be 2 things that we cover. We're gonna have an all hands one where we have all employees on staff, and for that one, we're gonna be covering the acquisition workshop here. And so we have a full workbook for them. This thing is pretty sweet. We're gonna be walking through, essentially teaching them exactly what they need to know to make a paid funnel work. All gonna be about client acquisition. It's gonna be about teaching them skills they need to sell higher ticket packages. And then from there, we're gonna go into a leadership workshop, which we can look at here. The 2 goals that we have from this is making sure that they understand exactly what is transformation of leadership, and then most importantly, how do we build a great company? And so this is where we're gonna get super tactical with them. We're gonna take the things that we worked with Paul and Terry from the owner's consulting day, and we're gonna go ahead and actually roll that out, implement them with them. So they're building out their roles, responsibilities, the new organization accountability chart, how they're going to hit their next 90-day goals to get to their year goal, to get to the new big target that we've set with Paul and Terry. So super pumped for tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and get some sleep because we have a long day. I'll see you on day 3. We have arrived to the final day. It is day 3, and today is the big day. It's gonna be a long day. We're gonna be going for about 9 hours straight. We're about to head off to their Lakeland location. It's the 3rd location, the final location that we have not seen. We're gonna actually do a run through of a full consult for you. So we're going to have their #1 sales rep, the #1 consultant, walk us through what happens when we walk in the door, walk us through just the entire experience. So I'm excited for you to see that, because hopefully that will give you some things that you can take away and apply in your sales process. And then after that, we're gonna head over to the Armadale location. We're gonna start that off with a 2-hour workshop for the entire staff. So we're gonna have about 25 plus people there, all of them working at all 3 locations for Ultra. So we're gonna cram into a little spot and we're just gonna deliver some value. And then from there, we go into a leadership workshop where we're taking the corporate level employees and then all of the managers of each individual location, and we're gonna walk through exactly what they need to do to build a great company and to get their goal of scaling to 30 locations over the next 10 years. So super pumped about it. It's gonna be a day. Need a little coffee. are done with day 3 at Ultra Cryo, but we are not done yet. And so we have just arrived here. We drove 3 hours straight from the workshop over here to St. Augustine, Florida, where we have another client, St. John's Eye Cryo. And so we're actually gonna be doing a podcast with them tomorrow. Figured if we're here, we might as well just knock it out. Go and visit them, do the podcast, give you guys the inside secrets on what it looks like to have a franchise wellness business with the Eye Cryo locations. So super pumped about that. Now today was stacked. It was 8 hours straight. We went on to the Lakeland location, as you saw, did a walkthrough there. We went from that into the all hands meeting. So we had in the entire 3 locations worth of staff packed into one room, did a full training on client acquisition, vision, sales. And it was just so cool to see their heart and to see how pumped they were to be able to keep making an impact. And then after that, we went straight into a leadership workshop where we took all the managers of each location, the leaders from the corporate side of the business, plus the owners, and we had a full-blown 3.5, 4-hour workshop where we talked about what does it look like to have transformational leadership, and most importantly, we got super tactical with how do we build a great company. We talked about the accountability chart. We talked about the target. How do we scale to 30 locations in the next 10 years? Who needs to own what, right? What's the right now focus next 90 days? What are the current bottlenecks that are happening in the business? And so excited for you to see some clips from that. But man, it was a day followed by a long drive. So now it's time to eat, sleep, wake up, and do the podcast with Eye Cryo. And let's keep at it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Day 4, we are closing this thing out, but we're closing it out with something a little bit special. We're shooting a second podcast. We are here in St. Augustine, Florida. We have our other clients, the owners of St. John's Eye Cryo, coming here today to just give us this inside look, give you an inside look on what it looks like to go from corporate sales to actually purchasing a franchise, opening it up, staffing it, having great culture, and doing what they're doing today. So I'm super pumped for you to get that look, because the other podcasts we've done have been with people that have kind of been founder owners, starting private companies. So it's going to be cool to kind of see the franchise side of things and what the differences are and what the similarities are. So we're at a little studio that we found here in St. Augustine. I don't know if you want to like pan around here and show it, but pretty cool setup. So we're going to figure out exactly how we want to set it up, where do we want to go, and make it happen. So we're going to get podcast time. I'll close out after this and just kind of do a little bit of recap of this trip, because it's been a wild trip, a long trip. But excited for all the nuggets that we have coming to you. All right, see you in a second. How do we stand out? How do we do it different? How do we just not be the Groupon med spa? And I feel like everyone goes that route because it's the fastest route, but I think it starts to die down a little bit. Long-term businesses, we have the client that's been here for 4 years and has spent, $15,000 with us. We have good lifetime value. We have people that refer people. And where I find that starts is how are they marketed to and how are they sold? We have made it. We are back home from Florida, back in the good old state of Texas. But man, the Ultra Cryo trip was something else. I appreciate you for hanging out with us, going on the journey. I hope that you got some massive value from it, being able to just get an inside look into a multiple 7-figure wellness business that's doing it big, 3 locations plus, and about to add on a ton more. And so really my biggest takeaway from this trip was why it matters so much that we are focused and we are clear and we truly have a strong leadership team in place. One of the biggest things coming out there with Ultra Cryo was, I was a little bit concerned. I was like, man, they're crushing it. They've been clients for us for a while. What can I do to add value on this trip? And it was really interesting to see that came from looking through operations and making sure that they got crystal clear and focused along with their leadership team on what do they need to do. Let's start it with, as you know, looking at what is the true big vision of the company? What's the big target? What do we want to get to? And that's where we came upon, hey, it's going to be 30 locations in the next 3 years, right? Or 10 years, 30 locations in the next 10 years. And so it just allowed them to get crystal clear on that. And then once we had that, then we could start to reverse engineer and answer the question, okay, what does that mean for us this year? What do we need to accomplish? What does that mean for our accountability chart, our team structure? What does it mean for the leaders that we need, right? It gave us all the details on what do we need to do, backing it all the way down into what do we need to just do next week. And so it was really cool to be able to see that power could come from focus. And so I encourage you in your business, do you have the same focus? Do you know exactly what your vision is? Do you know what your big target is? Do you know what your team needs to look like? What your accountability chart needs to be structured? If you are not crystal clear on those things, then I'm going to challenge you to get clear on them so that we always know what is the best next step, right? What do you need to do tomorrow, next week, next month, next quarter, and ultimately next year? If you have that, you will move so much faster, and you'll be shocked at how much that clarity for your team allows them to take massive action on your behalf. So I hope you love these type of vlogs. I hope you've had value coming on site with me. If you got value from that, I do ask for one favor. Please share this with another wellness business owner that you know. Comment below, let us know what you'd like to see in the next videos. And if you have not done so already, subscribe. Let's grow this channel so we can keep delivering content just like this, giving you the insight secrets, the tips, the tactical things that you can take to go and grow your wellness business.